Hey guys, it's Tim Gillette back here with another Tim Gillette show. All right. Today I get to bring on my friend. All right. And I would say we're friends because we actually do so much together, it seems. She's actually going to be the guest speaker at one of my at my next blog and video con. She was a guest speaker at the last one. She's going to be a featured speaker this time. But even the virtual version of it. But we have done so much together. We've done radio interviews together. We've done events together. We've actually spoken at events together. And we connected through Craig Duswalt, which Craig, that's another mark. All right. You're getting the bill for every time you're mentioned on my show. Sandra Dee Robinson is an actress. All right. A speaker. All right. A leadership mentor and coach. All right. And she's got a ton of other things. Like, this girl is talented. But the coolest thing is right, she's got this cool husband, Alan, and they've got this really neat farm that our ranch. All right, that we get to go hang out at together. But we have a lot of other common things in common, the things that we like to do together. But I'm sure we'll talk about all of that. I just want to bring her on, and we're going to have a fun conversation today because if you know, every podcast I've ever had, she's been on at least once or twice because we're that close of friends. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, I'm laughing because that was the first time that somebody actually was overt enough to say, although I feel it a lot, to say, yeah, here's Sandra. But the best thing about Sandra is her husband. I was
like, I got brownie points with Alan now. I'm just saying.
Some people may find that like they feel that, but they don't actually introduce me in such a way. So, wow.
Hey, we didn't say I was the most talented at doing things. I just...
Well, you're honing your skills as an interviewer with all this marathon interviewing that you're doing, which has been great. You've had a lot of my good friends on, so kudos to you. It's a marathon. Great job.
Marathon or trip to the crazy farm. I'm still trying to decide on that.
I thought I lived at the crazy farm.
Yeah. So, Sandra, all right, we're locked in our houses. We can't go out. What are you doing?
I'm lucky. I can go out. I have to go out. And this is the one time that I'm like, I am grateful that I can get on I can get on a tractor. I can ride a horse. I can go clean a barn, all of those things to get me outside in the sunlight. And I don't have to worry about social distancing. So it's been great. And I still do have a couple of young people that I'm kind of mentoring around the horses and they're coming over one at a time. We're outside, plenty of social distancing as possible here. So, and they're closest to the horses and not me. So, my lockdown is not that bad. Now, Alan is a leader in Texas Search and Rescue, TXR is what they call it. He's actually working the front lines of the drive-through testing in Houston, and he's been there for several weeks now. So, that's the only thing is I am actually doing all this stuff here myself. I'm wearing all the hats here at the farm, but wow. It's good.
Yeah, because you've got quite an active little ranch going down there. You know what I mean? Outside of your coaching business, I mean, just in itself, it's chores. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But the good thing is, I've actually had a couple of neighbors too that felt, that the anxiety is running a bit rampant, and that's the one thing that I do think that our location, the horses, the actual energy that I want to have around this place, especially since I'm doing the equine assisted coaching, I think that, God's taking care of us in that, because people get out of their car here when they come to my events, or they're my neighbors and they call up and they just want to come and it calms their nerves. It calms them down. And I've had a few neighbors say, can I come over and bring my mom to pet the horses? And of course, I'm not going to say no to that. I mean, it's the one thing that I have that I can offer. I may not be able to, like a lot of people right now, we had a financial hit. I mean, my husband works in TV and feature film, which is completely shut down until possibly August or September. So we're not the ones that will be, sending off tons and tons of money, although I'd love to. We got to kind of buckle down like a lot of people do, because it's a big hit for a lot of folks in their income, and we give what we can, but we're certainly not. That's not the best way that I think I can give to people. I think just having them come over and experience the calmness of the place and the horses and just settling their souls is a good thing.
And I like that. To me, when I think of your ranch, I think of a settling of the soul type place, though.
Good,
Um,
good.
but I'm reminded though of all the people who do have some, they're divided. Some of them have to go out and do the work, and some of them have to stay home. Like, you know what I mean, Alan being away like that. Um,
Yeah.
are a lot of your clients, are they having to deal with this in that same way? Are they divided doing things, or are they teaming up at home? What are your clients going through right now?
I think what's interesting, and I've been putting a lot of questions out to my community and saying, hey, are you A or B? Are you pivoting your business? Are you sitting it out? Are you anxious? Are you, where are you? And I find most people that are my clients are pivoting somehow. They're adjusting. They're changing the way they do business, and so I'm addressing that when I can. And then I find that many of the people in the community are dealing with anxiety. They may not be pivoting or changing what they're doing, but they're waiting it out. So for my clients, I think most of them are actively moving forward. And I do have a small percentage, there are certain fields that are actually they're thriving right now.
Mhm.
The financial industry, my wealth management people are not really feeling it that much. And some of my real estate clients are overwhelmed. They're doing really well. So, and I think it's because the rates are actually favorable for people that are able to purchase. And so that's one of the good things for them.
Mhm.
But I think like so many of us, I'm looking at a lot of people that are trying to reinvent and learn how to trust themselves as they're moving into something new. And that's what I'm doing too.
Mhm.
You know, and that's kind of what you did here. You're like, all right, I'm just going to jump into something different, and I'm going to do a ton of interviews, and just you reinvent some things, you find new ways to reach people. I truly think that if you are not afraid of doing this kind of thing, that if you find new ways to reach your community, you just might trip across something that's going to work.
Yeah,
That may be the creation of a product, or you're going to find something that actually clicks really well with you potentially, and that may be the pivot, the adjustment, as you call it.
Mhm, mhm. I've not been a fan of the word pivot, but I have been a fan of the word adjusting. You know what I mean? Making
Yeah.
adjustments, things like that. In this right now, let me ask you, because you're a coach like me and you're actually on camera a lot. Are you finding some of your clients? I mean, I've had some of my clients say this to me, and some of the people who follow me say this to me. Is, well, I got to choose between your broadcast or somebody else's now. You see, because a lot of people who weren't online doing broadcasts like you and I were are now going, hey, let me try this.
Yeah. So much. Yes. Yeah. And, good for them. I mean, there is a lot more noise out there for sure. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to that noise, what are you doing to try to set yourself apart now? All right. Are you being consistent, or are you changing it up to beat them?
I am desperately trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to, if something, here's what I've been starting to listen to myself more. So if something pops into my head, or I see something that I might want to video real quick, I now will, whereas before I'm like, oh, maybe I should put that on Instagram. Maybe I should. Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to step forward and share this. And sometimes it's maybe more personal stuff, because let's face it, I mean, we're watching like the Grammy Award winners, or is it this Country Music Award special, right? Where they had Miranda Lambert and Luke Bryan and all these people that were sitting in their homes playing their guitar and singing. And that is very intimate. We have that intimate ability to come across and be very real and very intimate right now. And that's kind of the blessing. So I have to encourage myself sometimes that, yes, it's a good thing to do, because we all have those voices that shut us up, and I think that being able to share as things come to my mind is something I'm really trying to harvest. And I've noticed something else too. I have a coach that said to me, because now that I'm learning, trying so hard to also relax, which is challenging for me. During that downtime, I am finding that my creative ideas start to come up, and I'm discovering that I have to write them down. I don't know about you, because I'll get an idea, and if I don't write it down, it just goes right. So my journaling.
You mean like this?
Yes. So my journaling has definitely picked up, and I can go back through there. I'm like, I had a great idea yesterday. what was that? And I literally will have to go back and look at what I wrote down. But I do feel it's a great time to allow that creative piece of us to kind of celebrate that and let some things come from that. Um, Especially if you're feeling anxiety or something, it's a great way to sort of relieve some of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the biggest thing that I've gotten that it's really been weird to me was like my idea moments. I've gotten out of bed twice in the past 2 weeks, I think. Like maybe 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that. And I can't go back to sleep. So I'm like, I get up, put a bathrobe on, come up to the office and I pencil it out. Have you had any of those in the past couple of weeks? I'm just curious.
I have. I get most of mine in the morning.
Okay.
Like when I'm lying in bed, I'll get these great ideas. And if I don't get up and write them down, that's why journaling is the first thing I do. First, I'm still nursing. I reheated my last little bit of coffee. I'll get my coffee going. And now my Bible, my devotional book, and my journal. And that's really the first thing that I do. And if there's something that's on my mind that I don't want to forget, I journal first before anything else. Just jot it down. Mm-hmm. So I have to, you kind of have to work with when your brain wakes up. And if it's 1 a.m, then it's 1 a.m.
I was just curious. I mean, and I've also started rearranging the schedule because now it's Gwen's here at home. Yeah. So like us, you know what I mean? Well, we have a small condo too. You know what I mean? We don't have like places we can divide.
Right.
So she waits for me to get done at night, but then finally she's just like, forget this. I'm making dinner. Your dinner will be on the stove when you're ready. Are you guys, I mean, you're by yourself right now, so Alan's not there.
Yeah, you learn to change the schedule, right?
Yeah. Our schedule's just wacky.
It's rare. I actually have to force myself to cook dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I kind of get into my own routine and I'm not really so much of a dinner person. I prefer to have a big lunch. I don't do dinner. When Alan is home, I have to change everything around. But that's the blessing of being in a relationship though. I mean, we have a sign in here that says love, honor, and negotiate. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it works.
Normally Gwen and I are traveling. So most of the time, one of us or the other is not at home. And this is the first time I think in a month straight that we've been home and not been out of the house.
And I know it's hard for some people, especially if you have a spouse that travels a lot, as much as you love them and as much as you may love your kids, okay, to some people at home. I've called some of my friends and they're about to lose their cookies because now they're not only a mom, they're teacher, they're, disciplinarian 24/7. And there are things that can really kind of get you to the edge of losing it. And so yesterday, one of the things I requested in my community was, if you have, what's the most wonderful thing you can think of about your significant other? And I said, please definitely write something if you're feeling that. I forget how I put it, but basically if you're feeling like you're at each other, because it's just human nature. It's what's going to happen. And this is actually every time that you have that, it's an opportunity to build that relationship and make it healthier, which is really everything that I do is around healthy relationships with yourself. So that then you can have healthy relationships with your family, with your friends, with significant others, with your community and your clients and customers. But it all starts with you and your emotional regulation. So you do want to be able to kind of find a way around that. And if it means, telling your kids to go to the backyard and play and then do that with your kids. Like, what are the things I love about them? I love the creativity. Yes, the very high energy, but I love this about them, and kind of come back to what makes them so special. It's challenging, I know, but this is a great opportunity. And I know that you've had Bob Danello on, our mutual friend. And I learned from him a phrase a long time ago that I really liked, which was the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our relationship. Mm-hmm. So this is a great time to really harvest all the good that's in a relationships that's close, that are closest to us. Lockdown.
Yeah. And working on the relationships for me right now isn't that hard. Gwen and I have had a great relationship. Sandra, at this time though, I mean, there's a lot of people now like you and I who are jumping on camera, and doing all this prep work. How many of your older clients are now going, oh, I need the refresher course, Sandra? Can you help me prep for this?
Yeah, it happens. It happens. That's one of the reasons why I did a kind of a almost spontaneous, short 30-minute crash course on getting on. Basically, it was designed for Zoom and webcam meetings, kind of like this at Facebook Live and Zoom. And the reason was I had a lot of networking things that had been moved online. Like, as we know, office meetings are moved online, and people are getting on Zoom in these Zoom rooms, and they don't understand what they're doing that makes them look bad. So I threw that up there. I did have some of my old clients say, "Oh my gosh, thank you. I needed that." I do have a few that are signing up again, and kind of keeping me on retainer, which is an agreement that I can do after I've worked with somebody initially. They can keep me kind of on a retainer, keep those sessions with me whenever they need them, and they can pop in and get, kind of get juiced up again, or get their message clear, or get ready to speak at a conference. Because I don't just work with people on camera. I actually love to work with speakers that are keynoting, so we can really work that stage. I guess it's like that actor piece of me that loves to just kind of create that aspect of it and build entertainment and education and retention for that speaker. So I love those things. And I do find that people don't understand that if they're lit wrong and we can't see their eyes, that it's not really serving them. Even if it's just a networking meeting, we connect eyeball to eyeball. And Tim, I appreciate that I'm even watching some of these celebrities when they're piping into shows and stuff, and they're not even looking at the camera. It makes a huge difference when we look at the camera as opposed to looking somewhere else, where we lose that connection. So it's one of the reasons that you can be so engaging, Tim, is that you're actually connecting with us through that camera. And people don't understand there's little things like that make a big difference when you're trying to build relationships through this type of medium.
And with all these, like you said, prepping for these, are you getting a lot of invites to virtual events right now?
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
Tons. Yeah. And I in fact, I have one that's going today. It's a virtual conference, and I'm being interviewed on that today. I posted it on my page. But some are going to be a little bit easier to move online than others. Like yours, the blog and video con, it makes sense to me that it would be easy to move online. Others, maybe not so much. So, we'll see. I don't know. Some of these, I saw the other day, somebody tried to move a 4-day event, 4 days online. I can't sit that long. I mean, I couldn't participate in that. I can't make a whole day. I think that's going to work for me.
Yeah. It's this week I have a 3-day, and then on Saturday I'm speaking at another one. It's like, you know what I mean? But I've gotten more online, not interviews, but online speaking gigs through this. Yeah. And like, I'm shocked. First of all, I'm like, you know what I mean? I was fighting for years to get a live speaking event, and now I'm like, I'm having virtual ones thrown at me.
Yeah, that'll come for sure.
Yeah. They're just being thrown at me. So, another thing that I want to ask, and a lot of people doing their broadcasts right now, and I want your opinion on this, is a lot of people are doing a lot of their topics now all around the COVID. I mean, it's like, that's the key word they're using. And I'm like,
I know.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be a short-term keyword. It's like, I'm doing this interview with you for I can last past this,
Yeah.
So I want your opinion.
I think it is going to be limited. Like I always ask, because I guessed it on several speaker and different things. And I always do make clear before I say anything, like this is going to be evergreen, right? So it's okay if and what my recommendation is, it's okay to speak to things like anxiety, right? Uncertainty, those topics you can hashtag, and that will probably bring you more than a hashtag of COVID, because there's just too many out there. If you agree, this is your deal, Tim. So tell me if you agree. But I kind of think that if you want to have something that's evergreen, you can speak to the symptoms that people are going through, that uncertainty, how to, there's that word, pivot their business, how to adjust when crisis happens. What are the things that you can do during this time that will live past this time? Right? How do you, for instance, my topic later today in an interview that I'm doing with one of my coaches is, how do you trust yourself when you have to start something new? Now, the reason that we're doing that topic is because, quite frankly, even those that are entrepreneurs that have products and services have to start something new. There are people that have lost their jobs, some of them very well paying jobs, and they have to start something new. How do you do that? Do that quickly so you stay afloat and trust yourself. So the topic isn't dealing with the COVID fallout. It's how do you trust yourself when you're moving into something new? And that is an evergreen topic, right?
Yes. Yes, I totally agree with that. And yeah, and I'm trying to get with that ideas of, covering the topics that are going to carry past this.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't relate to this. It's like we're creating this interview. All right. And if I were to ask you anything about, well, if you've seen this coming ahead of time, what do you do to prep? Now, that's the thing that next time you go, okay, well, now I know these are the signs I got to look for, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the same with the horrible recession. Was it 2008, 2009? I should know. It hit us really hard. People look at that and go, that was a kind of temporary thing. But if you only you're kind of stuck once those years go by, you can never go and put that back out again. But we can go and we can learn from what happened there. A lot of people are using what they learn now.
Yeah. So in the realms of creating content in this, because that's what I do is to create content, and you just happen to be the video side of it.
Yes.
Are you writing any new books or anything right now because of what you're going through?
This is funny. Writing a book. Yes, I have all these ideas. When all of this started and we went into official, lockdown, everybody stay home, I was like, all right, I am going to find the time, especially since Alan was going to be gone. Like, I am going to read every afternoon. I'm going to curl up in my little corner and I'm going to celebrate the time to read. Yeah, I haven't done that once. Not even once. I can't sit still long enough, which I thought of all times. I realized the other day, like, this whole period is going to go by and I will not have accomplished actually writing another book, although I do kind of have it together. So my next book is going to be more about horse wisdom for human life. So that's the topic. It's the things that I am seeing people learn and embody as we're doing the work with the horses and nature and that kind of thing. And it will be a book on leadership and communications. So that's kind of already in a way written itself, because like you just have so much content, after a period of time that you can kind of lay it all out and create something that way. So thank goodness I don't feel the need to write from page 01 to whatever. I kind of put something together from that, and I will probably request help to do so. So anybody that's good at putting books together, just reach out to me, please, because I'll need to have a conversation. But I do have a lot of ideas. The podcast that I'm getting ready to launch has even more great themes. I'm doing themes. So for groups of shows. And so I have more ideas for that. Definitely I'm doing my best to get the creative juices flowing. If you just find a way to sit me down and do it, that'd be great. When it rains, I actually have more of an opportunity because I can't be outside doing stuff, right?
I know. I noticed the rainy day. All right. The one thing I'm doing still every day, and it's always been part of my routine, is, because I've stayed at your house, is I go out and get my morning coffee.
Yes.
Starbucks this morning, and I have the truck. So the truck going through drive-through Starbucks, they can't hear you. It's a diesel truck. They can't hear you. But like I go there this morning, there's a line of like 6 cars on the street, let alone through the parking lot. Right. My patience does not deal with that. All right.
Especially without the coffee.
Yeah. That's why I'm drinking Red Bull today. Let alone, you know what I mean? The fact that I want my coffee. All right. But patience. How are you, or are you learning patience through anything in this?
Oh, I think I have become leaps and bounds patient and forgiving of other people. Rudeness still gets me a little like twisted, but patience, I think I have really gotten so much better. I have to be that way when I'm working around the horses. So I think it has just taught me, that's one of the main things that is a benefit of being able to natural horsemanship and natural lifemanship type work with the horses is that you have to be able to have the patience to have them join with you in relationship. That's what the work that I do with leadership and communication with them is all about. Being patient enough to understand when they're ready to step into that relationship. And sometimes when I go up to put a halter on one, traditional way of doing that is you take the horse's head, you push it your way, and you put the halter on it, you snap it, and you pull their head, and you go about your business. Well, that's not how we work here now. So now I will walk up with a halter, put it in front of the horse, ask them to participate. And sometimes, it's right away. Their head goes down into it, and then we're in agreement, and I feel a lot better. I don't have to yank them around or anything. They're working in partnership. But sometimes I have one horse, and we give him a voice. He's British. I don't know why. He just became British. His name is Bo. And Bo will sometimes, I don't really know if I feel like doing that right now. I don't know. I'll look around and I'm holding on, and I really just want to take his head and shove it into the thing and move on. But I'm like, no, this is part of what I'm learning, and I have to do this. And so eventually he will turn. He's very tall. He'll turn his head to the right. He'll turn his head over me. Then he'll put his head back in front of me, and then he will actually put his nose completely into the halter for me. He will put it all the way in. But there are times that I feel like I'm standing there for 5 minutes while he makes up his mind. My little British Bo. Yeah. But it's those things that allow me that when I'm sitting or walking through a grocery store and people are blocking the way, I just have to take a breath and go, okay, my belief is that people do the best they can with what they've been given. So and go, okay, the best that they can with what they've been given. And sometimes if I'm really, fighting it, I will say, and they've been given stupidity, but I work on that. I'm not.
It's yeah, okay. Somebody said it on my show. It wasn't me. So right now, all right, some people are that's one of the things they're going to look to come out of this is looking towards areas where they can learn the patience, and that's where your programs come into being to help them, right?
Yeah, very much so. Patience, understanding, empathy, compassion, intuition, all of those things that usually fall under our soft skills category, right, are what working with the horses is all about. And what I do may feel like therapy, but I want to make clear it's not. The work that I do here in Texas with the horses is not therapy. It's based on a therapy model, but it is equine assisted coaching. And the difference there is that if somebody comes to me and says, I or a family member suffers from PTSD, or there's from a life incident, I would recommend that they go to somebody that does use the modality that I use, but they use it alongside a psychotherapist, and it's incredibly effective. But I will be very clear, and out of respect for the people that do that work, that's not what I do. I do help people to kind of tap into the strengths, a lot of which they've forgotten. I have a lot of women that come from the corporate world that when I ask them about how they tap into their intuition, they've forgotten how to do that, because in their experience working in a male-dominated industry, for instance, they were told that that's hocus pocus and not to use that, when in actuality, men use it all the time. It's one of the best decision-making tools that you could have. And so we tap into all of those things. So it's very deep and actually sometimes very quick transformational work. And the best thing is I am the least of it. I just facilitate, The horse doesn't lie. And so if a horse tells you that you're not being a good leader at that particular moment, all I do is show you what's showing up for them. And then if you're in that round pen with the horse and you change how you're being until you see the results that you want, then you embody that and you move forward into your relationships with actual humans. Yeah. But so it's very cool work, and patience is absolutely part of it. Usually, believe it or not, with highly driven, entrepreneurial minded people, the lack of patience comes from the lack of patience with themselves more than anything.
See, this is one of the reasons why I'm scared to come down and do this, is your horse is going to tell me things about myself that I don't want to know yet. I'm worried about that.
And that is true. But here's the thing. When I tapped into this, when I actually was a client of this type of work in the beginning, I had to do the same thing, but it was the best thing that happened to me. I remember I couldn't regulate my energy. I was just on fire all the time. I just would be so hot and energetic, and I would probably turn people off. I do remember a long time ago asking an older gentleman that was very good, had a very great reputation for helping speakers. And I met him and he was horrified at me. I'll never forget. We had lunch and he kept staring at me and shaking his head going, "You have so much energy. You have so much energy." Like, I didn't know how to turn it. I didn't know how to work the faucet. And that's actually one of the things that I discover a lot with the women that I work with that are really driven, is they exhaust themselves at the end of the day, like I was doing at that time. And they don't know how to regulate that energy. And so that was a hard lesson for me, because I got out with the horses, and it was looking back at it, but it was not so funny the first couple of days that I tried to work on that. Yeah, but it's the best thing that happened.
Cool. Coming through this, all right. There's going to be a lot of people coming out of this, creating new things, doing new things. All right. And, you know what I mean? While you and I are teaching the skills, you know what I mean? Create content, learn about yourself, learn leadership. All right. The people are going to come out of this. All right. And find something new to do. All right. They're looking for the creative idea. How can I find a business model? Right. We teach the tools. We don't teach you how to find a business model. We teach you the tools on how to make it work. But if they're looking for the business model, what advice would you give them? Because you and I know the tools to make the business model work, but we don't know how we can't necessarily create the business model for you.
You know, it's interesting. One of my coaches who I'm talking with later today, in fact, she really woke me up to the fact that you have to understand how you are designed. How do you work? What are your strengths? And you think that you know that, but when you're designing your business model, it has to work with that. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're pushing all the time. And I have had that. I was following the footsteps of several other coaches and speakers when I first started speaking, and I was doing what they were doing. And I had some success, but I was exhausted. I felt like I was pushing a boulder uphill every day. It was not in alignment with how I work, with what my strengths are. And if it turns out that you are a great manager of people, you're the person that can design a business model, that you are the idea person and everybody else implements. If you're somebody that actually likes being more hands-on, then it may be different. But I think more than anything, you have to look at what is going to be able to have you in a flow so that it's a little, I want to say effortless, because if you're, it's not necessarily effortless ever, but it will take less effort. It will feel like there is more of a flow there. You'll have more satisfaction with what you're doing. And I think that's super important. And something else to think of, right, Tim? I'm sure you've done this too. If you start off on a model of a business and it feels terrible, don't keep going. Change, course correct, do something, I think it was 8 years. I just kept pushing this one model of my business. And then I realized I think I just really got burned out on it. I walked away, and then I came back and I changed it and love it so much more,
That was me with events. I kept feeling I had to have a certain event done a certain way. And I'm like,
yes.
And my coach, all right, Craig, who kept pushing, I'm like, but it doesn't work that way for me. Yeah.
But that's what he does. Yes. And that's also something I suggest for him. Got to push both of us. I suggest getting a coach if you're looking to create something new. Even if the coach, like us, is not going to sit there and go, here's how you design your business, because that has to come from you. I mean, what I do is I'll help you tap into what your strengths are and how you communicate. So if you are absolutely 127% terrified of being on camera, okay, maybe there's a reason. Maybe that's not how you are best communicating. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to write. I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to do the podcast. But when I started, the audience wanted it.
Yes.
So I started doing it.
Yeah.
Blab. I remember you did Blab shows with me too, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Blab. I was shocked how many people wanted me on camera. I was blown away. I'm like,
well, yeah.
I got it right.
Yeah, but if you have somebody that you've listened to like on radio, don't you want to know what they look like?
Yeah. I get it. I do. I get it. But I mean, it was a resistance for me. I didn't want to do it, and you know what I mean? And luckily I had mentors and coaches in my life like you to say, this is how you present yourself on camera. And I just, okay. Cause I really wanted to, at first I wanted to freeze and stare at the blue dot.
Yes. Hey, at least you were staring at the blue dot,
Yeah. And I still, you know what I mean? And I know you do it too, but I mean, I've had people on the camera, all right, in this series and I won't pick on who you can tell they were new. And the whole time they're looking at the picture down here, not the camera. I don't know if you know her out in California. I was Michelle Soros and Michelle. And
here, this is what it's like this.
Yeah.
Actually like this, looking over here. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So there are better ways to do this. See the oh wait, they got to put the ceiling fan in. Get the ceiling fan. That's and the vents. Yeah, that's a good one. There are better ways.
Yeah.
Better ways.
There was a lady I was with in California. All right. We did a quick video with the phone one day, and she basically, cause she didn't know my phone, she reaches the phone and she's doing this. Okay. That's where the camera is. Now I know where to stare. And I'm like, I mean, this is before we did the broadcast.
Oh my God.
Right? But like, that's awesome. I learned that from you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Look at the camera. I mean, that's stuff I learned because I didn't want to be on camera, but I'm like, okay, if I look at the camera, and I know every now and then I'm looking down because there's things I'm working on this to make it happen. But for the most part, I'm trying to have the conversation with that dot, not where you're at on the screen.
Right. I'm looking at you, in between answering. When I answer, I look back up. But it's another thing is people, and this actually is a bit of media training as well, because sometimes when you're doing media, it is like this, where you don't have somebody right in front of you and you have to talk to a dot.
Yeah.
This
is a great medium for that. But and also, I mean, podcasts. I mean, I did radio show, and the radio show I on the phone, that was weird for me. But anyway, I adapted, and I like this better. It took me a while to set this up because I was like, well, you got to have this, you got to have this. Finally, I'm like, I'm just going to find a way to do it the way I want to. And I made it work.
Well, speaking of finding a way to do it, I made one big mistake. I was working on my computer before we hopped on. I'm down to 6% battery. So I need to run and get a charger.
Well, you run and get a charger.
For
Uh-oh.
Have my cord.
Huh? Run and get your cord real quick. I can stall the audience.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adapt my list, all right, of what I'm going to ask her when she gets back. What do you think I should put on there? She's going to look at this video later and figure out I did that. You know that, right? We go way back. So anyway, by the way, look at her pretty fireplace. I mean, it's just so cool and so awesome. And I love the barn door that Alan put in over in the guest room. Really cool. Anyway. I'm back. And the cords are back. Sorry, we were talking about you while you were gone.
I hope it was nice things. And if not, I'll find out later. And I will hunt you down. I know where you live.
Wait a minute, I want to see the comments that were put in. Okay, so just to let you know, all right, this is my buddy Nazim from over in Italy, all right, who watches a lot of my broadcasts. He put that in. But he was on Blab. That's where I met him. But he put this in as because he knew what I was doing. Anyway.
That's cute. Blab. So, yeah, gosh, I forgot about that. You're always on the cutting edge of those things, Tim.
I am?
Well, yeah, like StreamYard. I got that from you.
Did you? I figured it out from Ken Walls. I don't know if you know Ken Walls, but I figured it out from him. I was on one of the shows with him, and he said, I do my show on this. And that's literally the beginning of where I learned to do this model. Was being on Ken's show. And that was just before all this broke out. Not just a couple months ago. And I'm like, well, that's a tool I can use because I did my old show. I would record it on Zoom and then broadcast it Now I'm able to record it live, and it just works better. And it goes to YouTube automatically. And it's a system. All right. You want to find out a system about how to have podcasts, blog and video con. It's coming up.
Yes, I will be there.
You're going to be one of our featured speakers this time.
Yeah, I am. We're going
to
encourage as many people as possible to use that content that they're creating right now and get it out.
Yep. So, Sandra, what is the best place that people can get a hold of you online?
You can always start by just Googling my name. You'll come up with sandradeerobinson.com. Usually there's a freebie there. I can actually offer something to y'all if you want. There's sandradeerobinson.com/awe inspirations. That's AWE, awe inspirations. That's one freebie. That if you are dealing with anxiety and having trouble sitting down, like I was saying, that's something that's just daily prompts so that you can tap into that emotion, which is a positive emotion. So it's going to lift you away from the anxiety. And it's also centering as opposed to happiness or joy. So it's a great method to be able to just take like 2 to 5 minutes in a day and put yourself into a state where you're much more creative minded, calm, and this week. So on the website, if I have an event coming up, you'll see that. So that's a great way to do it. And then find me on Facebook, Instagram, a little bit on Twitter. I kind of don't hang out on Twitter all that much because I find it a little too angry.
Yeah, it is that way.
So yeah, and I have a thing with rudeness. I don't like people to be disrespectful or dishonorable of other people. So I'm there. I'm just not there all that much.
Okay.
And LinkedIn.
Okay. Well, Sandra, I like to close my broadcasts out with a little game I call this or that.
Okay, yes.
So, and I know that we've had some skips in the broadcast, and I did Larry Broughton's the other day, and we had skips in the broadcast so bad, and I felt horrible because he had some great answers. But anyway, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make sure we get it. I'm going to go through these. There's about 8 or 9 of them. Just tell me what your favorite ones. If there's one we got to elaborate on, please. We'll try to elaborate on it. We've got a couple minutes left. But my first one always is Star Wars or Star Trek.
Oh, Star Wars. Easy.
Yeah. My second one is, do you like to listen to podcasts or read a book?
Oh.
Or it could be an audio book, but just saying, it's.
No, I don't do audiobooks. Audiobooks. I do podcasts when I can't sit down, right? So I guess by default, I do more podcasts than books. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to actually, like I said, find my little every day, but I love both, but I'm probably spending more time on podcasts.
Oh, cool. So the next one here is just based on what I know about you. And I actually added a third option to it. Texas, California, or Pennsylvania?
Texas, although Pennsylvania is really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's where I'm from. So I have a love of that. California, I plead no comment.
I had to throw the in Pennsylvania in there because I know you and I are both from Pennsylvania, just opposite sides of the state, but we both grew up there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it. I think it's one of the most gorgeous places.
It is. So when you go to the movies, do you get popcorn or candy?
Wine.
No, that's a later question.
That's candy. That's candy, right? It's liquid candy.
So, she bounced on me. All right. Oh, please come back. Please come back. It's always the game that I lose people on. All right.
I know.
So my next one is taco or hamburger?
Hamburger.
Hamburger?
But hamburger.
Okay. How about wine or beer?
Wine.
We were both members of a great winery, just saying. Would you rather barbecue and cook at home or go eat out?
Eat out. I'm not a foodie. I don't want to be cleaning up.
I know.
The best gift ever is to have a chef come to my house, make me dinner in my house, and clean up.
The mess. Yes.
Best gift ever.
Yeah. So my next one here, my war one. I hope you are live on this one and don't blink out on this one, because these last two are the ones that always seem to happen. Toilet paper, under or over?
Over is more proper.
I love how everybody puts it different way. Over, it's more proper. It's the way the patent.
Yes. So you can make a little triangle, like whenever you go to a nice hotel, it's over.
Yes. So, and my last one that I always like to ask is boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
It's not that hard. See, it's just a fun game. Yep. So, well, one more time, tell them where they can get a hold of you. All right. And how they can find you and free gift that you're offering.
Easy. SandraDeeRobinson.com. Also find me on Facebook. You'll time on my page and in my book, in my group called Elevate. Mm-hmm. So Elevate with Sandra Dee. It is open. You just have to ask to join. So that's a great place to find me. And if you are trying to calm some anxiety and reach a point where you can settle in and kind of stay focused on things, go to SandraDeeRobinson.com/awe inspirations. It's AWE inspirations. And you'll get some daily prompts for being able to tap into that emotion on a very consistent basis and make it really simple. So,
okay. Cool. Well, thank you, Sandra, for being on my show today. And I look forward to doing some stuff with you over the next couple of weeks, considering we've got an event coming up. And
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, all right, this is another one of our broadcasts has come to an end with the Tim Gillette Show. I thank Sandra Dee for coming on our show today. And I will be back with another episode real soon. But in the meantime, go subscribe to us now on Apple Podcasts, on Anchor FM, and we're on YouTube. So go check us out there so you can get notifications every time we do one of these. I'm Tim Gillette. I'll see you next time. Bye.